Introduction to pharmacovigilance. When I looked how reflected, I want a sense that majority places you see this circle, yes? Data, making knowledge, data from adverse reporting, active surveillance, past media, networking, monitoring, literature monitoring, with social media, but you be careful and you should to find, identify who was source of this information. But because sometimes you can see situations that pharmacovigilance can be used in, I am calling black promotion, yes, and you should identify. It's games on really problems with medicine. You should know it to find it. Comparing with active substance on different drugs, it's risk or it just, I'm showing black noise. Knowledge. You collect this information, you thinking, okay, it's safety signals, publication, media, network, information. If it's safety signal, I got many questions. Safety signal can be even one adverse reaction, but with identified causality. It's very important. You should know how to detect causality. And what I can advise from my experience, you should use not just one methodology. For example, it can be from one side, VSHO methodology, from another side, it's Naranjo scales. But you see more than 75 scales. For example, when we're talking about hepatic problems in patient, please use RUCAM scale. It's very important. It's targeting for problems with liver in patient, very often used in patients in clinical trials. Knowledge, make circle, its influence on patient, regulations, and healthcare, and through usage, it has impact exactly in patient, in public health. What you should main goal for pharmacovigilance in this way is maximize the benefits of medicines and minimize the risks. Please, knowledge, influence on patient, and regulation decide. Because, for example, when we're talking about man-manager safety signals, pharmaceutical company conduct safety signals management, and parallel it's part of activity of regulatory authority too. Regulatory action, communication, and risk management. You cannot do it with your own. It's a collaboration, strict collaboration with regulatory authority. If you have any question, dear colleagues, please write in chat, or for example, in the end of this part, you can ask it. The knowledge generated by pharmacovigilance should be relevant in supportive, effective pharmacotherapy. It is important to have more intensive interaction with healthcare professional and patient, and now one of the approach is patient centricity and gain insight into their information needs. Detecting preventable and high impact adverse reaction is clearly relevant for clinical practice, but also more knowledge about the characteristics of adverse reactions, such as frequency, time to onset, time course, and treatment of adverse reaction is very important too in this way. Drug safety transparency. It's crucial for trust the safety of medicine. Proactive, our pharmacovigilance now taking proactive role. We cannot sit in it just looking what's all going on. We should active monitoring problems and looking what should to do to minimize this risk. Proactive and timely communication on new potential risk is important, striking a balance between providing early warning and waiting for hard evidence. Creating awareness where necessary without causing unnecessary concern is key aspect of risk communication, and there is no one-size-fits-all solution. The communication content of strategy should be based on several factors: the certainty of signal, existing concerns, potential for preventing serious events, and alternatives available, and the risk of unintended interest. Recognize that role clinicians in pharmacovigilance. Recognize that adverse reaction and differentiating them from other disease or comorbidities is challenging and requires the clinicians as a healthcare professional, but when we extrapolate it on pharmacovigilance industry, pharmaceutical industry, pharmacovigilance physicians, pharmacovigilance scientists, to have knowledge of the clinical pharmacological principle of adverse reaction. It's not be just adverse reaction. It can be signs, for example, in pregnancy, in kids, because it can be connected with specified physiology of these special groups. But pharmacovigilance specialists should know it too, including their types of adverse reaction, dose relatedness, hypertensive reaction, and differentiate what should be definition and clinical science, how prevent, minimize this anaphylactoid shock and anaphylactic shock, different mechanism. For example, this differentiate because cardiogenetic shock, anaphylactic shock, anaphylactoid shock, very important. Times relationship. Every adverse reaction should have times relationship. You can meet situation, it's very often you can find information in clinical trials, time adverse reaction in post-authority, adverse event in clinical trials. And from my experience, what's more difficult to differentiate it, to understand what's going on, it's third stage of clinical trials, when it's going on healthy volunteers, or for example, pharmacovigilance in bioequivalence, when it's reflected and you see signs in healthy volunteers too. And risk factors, for example, long-term complications such as a typical femoral fracture secondary to biophosphonatitis may only occur after prolonged exposure. Discontinuing medication may also cause rebound of medical conditions such as increased risk of osteoporosis with denosumab cessation. Clinicians also need to communicate and counsel patients to ensure ongoing compliance, treatment of underlying condition, and maintain appropriate documentation of the patient clinical records to avoid further exposure to other medication. Plus, again, pharmaceutical anamnesis. If, for example, patient had before problems with this group of drugs, because you remember some drugs and it's characterized as class-specific adverse reactions, it's characterized for all group of drugs. And some drugs, for example, when we're talking about Benadryl blocker, and one of them is more, I'm calling have more efficacy, it's nebivolol, because, for example, it's influence on endothelial dysfunction through endosynthetase, and you should understand its class-specific groups, even benefit, or it's characterized from these drugs. Clinical knowledge, clinical pharmacology, medicines, again, very important. Clinicians should be encouraged to report adverse reactions, to ensure that the safety profile of medication slogan is recorded nationally, which assists in formulation regulatory action to minimize the risk to consumers. Clinicians also need to communicate and counsel patients ensure ongoing compliance, because some problems can be related with patients, some even with healthcare professionals. Medication errors, it's one of big problem in pharmacovigilance right now. Even you see, for example, medracodin new versions, it's now allowed to code and problems with quality drugs and medication errors too. Globalization, major obstacles facing pharmacovigilance right now, the expansion of drug distribution across borders and great exposure to huge population for pharmaceuticals. What I pay attention, for example, if you live in a not hot zone, but your drugs go into market with hot climate, you should understand that if, for example, will be medication errors or problem with disorder and not compliance and good distribution practice, it can be source of risk of drugs. Please pay attention on it. A very strict collaborate with your quality service with in your company. This includes brand new chemical compounds used to treat symptoms and after lifestyles, as well as drugs used and underdeveloped nation to reduce the prevalence of pandemic illness like HIV, AIDS, malaria, or tuberculosis. We will see very great problem now. It's antibiotic resistance, it's resistance of tuberculosis drugs, SOPs, gonorrhea drug, Neisseria. Gonorrhea as a cause of Neisseria, now resistant for all antibiotics, and pneumococcus SOPs now resistant to antibiotic. Which challenge we will meet? It involves artificial intelligence in drug development to find new groups of antibiotics. And its problems related not just with medication errors using antibiotics, or for example, appropriate use of antibiotics, but its problems in ecovigilance. It's another topic we will discuss with relatedness, pharmacovigilance and ecovigilance, because you can meet antibiotics now in water and then in meat, and it's lead to antibiotic resistance. We will meet huge problem in the future. Attitudes and views on benefits and harms. This shift has significantly altered how society uses medicines. Healthcare practitioners, patients, and the general public have reacted to this shifting trends in various ways. Perception of benefits and harms, as well as the acceptable level of risk for medicines, have not taken into meaningful consideration. There has been substantial evidence of the harm that medication produce. Pharmacovigilance, collaboration, and partnership very important in pharmacovigilance. Pharmacovigilance system must form partnerships that provide complementary expertise and capacity to accomplish comprehensive monitoring and investigation of the safety of medicine. Increasingly, pharmacovigilance systems are addressing issues related, pay your attention, product quality, substandards, spurious, falsely labeled, falsified, and counterfeit medical products and medication error is made problem now in pharmacovigilance. For sharing of information, development of best practice in pharmacovigilance, and strengthening the science of pharmacovigilance. Target training efforts and the interaction among members, these efforts have been critical in building pharmacovigilance system should be worked. And with common for multidisciplinary approaches. Why it's important? Pharmacovigilance as a field of research already involved multidisciplinary approaches, practice, and field-like expertise. Clinical practice, clinical research, epidemiology, data science, toxicology, pharmacology, including clinical pharmacology, and very important skill at decision making. Transdisciplinarity begins with a common perception of complex societal problem as does pharmacovigilance. Transdisciplinary approach may go beyond disciplinary method and expertise, but they don't go for them. Pharmacovigilance through a shared goal requires otherwise independent disciplines to work together to go beyond their own interest and resolve as a shared problems. Transdisciplinarity to the field of epidemiology allows to the generation of better hypotheses. Generated better hypothesis is a key step forward, increasing efficiency in pharmacovigilance as well. I won't pay in this way attention is genomic, pharmacogenetic approach. This knowledge is very important now. How to find it? It's attend a specific conference, and you will see, for example, from my experience drug safety congress like last year, for example, when you use pharmacogenomic in psychiatry, one drugs after this investigation, you see your problems, for example, potential problems in genetic, you can help you, for example, use just one drugs with big efficacy. It's way for personalized medicine, and it's very important. For example, Great Britain now for every patient providing passport with genetic pharmacogenomic passport, and I think this right way for every country, because genetic polymorphism can be different, and you see, for example, how mixed our population, and it can be different, for example, and efficacy, it can be influenced in the safety too. Transdisciplinarity provides the means by which heterogeneous method in interest and can be juxtaposed in manner that is likely to stimulate the emergence of new knowledge. Transdisciplinarity provides the best model for understanding the nature of the networks that must exist for effective and efficient pharmacovigilance. Extending the involvement of stakeholders beyond the regulatory community, integrated diverse methods and source of evidence, and enhances the ability of diverse groups to raise signals of harms that ought to be followed by the network. Consequently, promoting transdisciplinary approach to pharmacovigilance and long-term effort that requires structural changes in medication education, research, and enterprises. How you can get this knowledge and using training and research transdisciplinarity in the pharmacovigilance field. From my experience, there are specific universities for pharmacovigilance. In Czech Republic, it's India, it's Israel, it's Jewish, it's specific institutes which provide specific knowledge. I think in future, it will divide it from clinical pharmacology. Its aim and purpose to create a specific institute concerning on drug safety now, because it's not clinical pharmacology. Little bit changed exit, but it's little bit, it's very important to understand that it's common and taking position of separate institution and separate discipline, why it's separate now profession. Research institutes might quasi-traditional organization as research group divided by discipline, toxicology, epidemiology, data science, too many interaction with different and other specialities, but to understand it, you cannot be a high qualified person if you don't understand principle of research development of drugs, because from research development drugs can come problems too, and how you solve it. It's collaboration with research development specialists and your specialists. For example, if like, for example, thalidomide, as example, it's collaboration between preclinical specialists and pharmacovigilance passion. Clinical trials is same too, collaboration, and why now many reports have been found of collaboration, importance, understanding GCP and GVP knowledge, DCP and GMP knowledge, DCP, GDP knowledge, problems with logistic, problems with temperature, and other physical factors can influence on safety due not compliant GDP. Very important knowledge. And research activities must involve several disciplines roles. See also, for example, as examples, United States National Institute of Health proposal. Funding agency. In addition to valuing transdisciplinarity, might give actual guidance for what genuine transdisciplinarity outcome would look like. PhD training. PhD training, it's I think it's a big value for development of pharmacovigilance. How many interesting finding you can, and main reason it's preventive of adverse reaction, it's minimizer of adverse reaction, it's epidemiology investigation too. Might include experimental work from at least 2 disciplines of main and 1 complementary, for instance, toxicology and epidemiology. A conceptual non-empirical manuscript might be required of the PhD training in order to promote critical education and career development. The first postdoc might be in medical field, different from the PhD in pharmacovigilance. And what I want to propose in this way, it's getting not just theoretical knowledge. For example, by Nova Science providing and theoretical knowledge and practical. It's specific internship on base of Bison's Innova Medical School, Pharmacovigilance and Medical Affairs School, where you can find internship with getting not just theoretical knowledge, passing theoretical knowledge and receiving certificates of by Science Nova School, but passing and getting knowledge from internship. And afterwards, you will look like higher qualified specialist too, with improving knowledge when you have some knowledge. And for example, if you want to develop your knowledge or receive new knowledge, it's very important too. Medical journals. Medical journals might include a session dedicated to conceptual deepen about foundation, motivation, blind spot of curing methodology for collecting evidence. But you should use specific right tools. Very difficult to do it with hands. Very important, use automatically tools. Elsevier provide many tools, Embase, and another tools, and but research. One of tools require specifically research of your specialist, and you should understand how calculate it, your needs of your staff. Journal editors might have a mixed background from different medicine disciplines. New guidance for declaring author contributed might be developed since the traditional different in different disciplines. Medical publication might include a section explicitly stating background assumption that ground is empirical work and evaluation of evidence. Conference societies, very important, attend conference society specific, and not just pharmacovigilance, toxicology, epidemiology, and don't afraid, be not just participant. If you have any knowledge, you can be speaker. Don't afraid, do it. Because when you share this knowledge, you will share your knowledge, but you will receive very big input from other opinion leader in pharmacovigilance, drug safety too. And for example, pharmacovigilance, as I said before, a pharmacogenomic, and not just in clinical part, but in regulatory too. Auditors. Auditor in pharmacovigilance from one is back value, big profit. from another side, how to find good, higher qualified auditor. You should be auditor to find auditor for your system. And you should pass practical course for auditors to understand methodology for conducting auditor and SOP and ISO qualification compliance to plus experience and how build system, where can be lead down problem pharmacovigilance, and how to find and major aim of auditor is improve pharmacovigilance system. It's very interesting too. And when we're talking about conference societies, my center, our task rather than distinct, for example, a society for evidence evaluation, for causality, target conference you can attend to. For example, you need knowledge for causality assessment. You can pass specific course in our school and you will receive not just again theoretical knowledge, but practical knowledge too. We will organize roundtable, international roundtable. This involved not just CIS country, or for example, British or different countries, because how work again drugs in different population, how to build system, global pharmacovigilance system, including challenges for pharmacovigilance system too, and which main role of QPPV in this system too. It will be very interesting. Assessment of the pharmacovigilance philosophy drug approval. A rise of the philosophy of science increasingly acknowledged by epidemiologists and regulators, pharmacoepidemiologists. Remember important post-authorizations, trials, pass, and PSURs, which reflect the GVP2. You should know GVP as a Bible, as a Quran if you're Muslim. Its main document for pharmacovigilance, GVP, good pharmacovigilance requirement. What I see right now, it's trends and tendencies of harmonization of requirement. It's very helpful because we will go away with specific in legislation too, which made before very difficult life for QPPV in pharmacovigilance company. Risk assessment of drug requires methodological approaches and standards of evidence that are different from requirements of efficacy assessment. Quality scope of pharmacovigilance system. Negative and consistent data for research trials should be available of public scrutiny. Also, pharmacovigilance all time of evidence including laboratory research, observation study like PASS, and anecdotal reports are potentially crucial. The amalgamation evaluation of different types of evidence are challenging. Researchers are currently working on unified epistemic frameworks in which different types of evidence can be combined and used for decision on drug safety. These include, pay your attention, dear colleagues, probabilistic approaches based on Bayesian networks. Now, these algorithms included in many pharmacovigilance databases. Also, anecdotal reports of side effects can potentially be important source of signals of harm. The quality of such reports is often poor. Measures are needed to ensure a richness of potentially relevant information in the reports to allow a proper causality assessment of the single case. Proposes that medical journals adopt specific guidance for the publication of adverse drug reaction can report. Automated free text analyzer platforms are being developed to process patient narrative. Unintended effect of drugs might be overlooked because of an inaccurate clinical evaluation. Therefore, clinical cases should be systematically analyzed by a network of experts. Knowing the statistical incident is very important for pharmacovigilance specialists to have this knowledge too. Even if you have in your company statistic, you should have this knowledge. You should understand how we work it. It's very important. Knowing statistical incidence of rare drug adverse reaction in the population has limited value in clinical practice. For the management of risk single patient, it's important to gain causal mechanistic understanding of particularly informative cases of adverse drug effects. We only have such deep causal knowledge for a small proportion of marketed drugs. There are still major knowledge gaps to cover in it, and we should work on it too, together with statistics, with pharmacoepidemiology specialists. For current trends in pharmacovigilance tend to harness the potential of patient involvement through spontaneous patient reports. Awareness of this possibility among patients is still low. Tools for spontaneous patient reporting are being expanded through mobile technology and social media, and by increasing public awareness and patient commenting. At the same time, tools are more sophisticated. There's mining of health register and other sources of medical information are being developed. Tools for spontaneous patient reporting are being expanded through mobile technology and social media, and by increasing public awareness and patient commenting. Tools for more sophisticated data mining of health registered and other sources of medical information are being developed. Pharmacogenomic methods should be used in pharmacovigilance as a tool for identifying co-determinants of drugs and desired effects. This would help in gaining a better mechanistic understanding of mechanism of adverse reaction. Clinical social organization pharmacovigilance. Clinical science of drug safety has a general understanding about the causal mechanisms underlying drug action and physiologic setups. Information about unexpected drugs effects should be feedback from the clinic to research more effectively than currently. New communication channels are needed for the purpose. The cooperation between regulators and patient organizations, very important, should be tighter and more systematic and comprehensive. A representative from patient organizations is a part patient-centricity approach. Urges that the official contact person for pharmacovigilance should be appointed by regulators in the patient organization. Coordination among drug regulatory authorities should be increased. This evaluation of hepatitis is currently often performed confidentially by stakeholders such as the pharmaceutical industry, government regulators, and donor organizations, introducing different levels of conflict of interest and over pharmacovigilance outcome. The information held confidential for the potential long-time span also uncertain might be useful for critical clinical consideration for specific patients. Future responsive multidirectionality. The common element between cases, serendipitous discoveries in medicine, besides unexpected observation, is collaboration of researchers working in diverse projects using different methodologies. Combining knowledge, very important to work again with specialists who work surrounded to get their knowledge, to share your knowledge, and to find a reason of this risk. This collaborative diversity can take a single observation and lead to a number of significant findings. The production of results through diverse methods can convert to formulate a single hypothesis. Modern pharmacovigilance observation of adverse drug reaction have led to general advance of medical understanding beyond the strict boundaries of drug safety. A study collected data from the side effect large number of marketed drugs and uses information to gain understanding of the mechanism by which drugs interact with humans. Too. I will see now chat. Okay. Applied to conventional tools from each discipline, a new method were generated for this interaction for the specific purpose. Experts are working together by combining plurality of methods are interesting. New sharing reasoning was applied to conventional tools from each discipline, and new methods message were generated for this interaction for specific purpose. Problem-centeredness is often difficult in drug safety networks, even database, evidence, and skills are in place. We should have these skills. Problem-centeredness. A move the suspicion to action pharmacovigilance often require researchers, clinicians, manufacturers, and decision makers to work together on a problem they all perceive equally worthy of resolving. That is, they need to share an overlapping judgment. That is available evidence is a potentially indicative of a causal relationship and of the origins of discovery traits. Crucially, experts work together by combining a plurality of message and interest. We work together, very important. And now examples of adverse drug reaction identified of spontaneous report. Why spontaneous reports? Why is the main method still main methods of collecting information of adverse reaction? Because we see results that, for example, aplastic anemia was detected using spontaneous reports method with felbamate. Liver toxicity with triglyceride. Very interesting drugs, which higher promise it was drugs in treatment in diabetes mellitus, triglyceride. Rhabdomyolis with rosuvastatin, still statins, higher efficacy in atherosclerosis treatment, but has this adverse reaction, not just rosuvastatin, but its class-specific adverse reaction, rhabdomyolis. Progressive multifocal leukoencephalopathy with natalizumab and felizumab. Still, it was reflected using spontaneous reporting methods. Incorporation pharmacovigilance and IT technology. Advances in informatics can be used to perform data mining in large spontaneous reporting database. Review large numbers of reports with advanced techniques such as natural language processing. Develop active surveillance system, allow a new source of data to be used for identifying drug safety signal, facilitate report of suspected adverse drug reaction. A critical challenge for pharmacovigilance is to develop and validate methods that maximize the utility of the large number of electronic data available from a variety of sources to minimize false positive findings, which carries the cost of evaluation of its signal potential to develop patients for the acceptable therapy. It will be essential to integrate informatic approaches with other sources of information and with clinical resonance. Effort to aggregate drug safety data for purpose for detection of this signal. You can meet many systems right now. It's a drug vigilance system and fire system. It's a specific national system. It's Ukraine ISV system. Mini Sentinel system is as example to EU advert database, aggregate population-based data from various European countries. Database from general practice are used in the United Kingdom for drug safety research. The Observation Medical Outcome Partnership has focused on methodological aspects of using population-based healthcare data to identify adverse drug reaction. Spontaneous reports of suspected adverse drug reaction reported throughout Europe are aggregated with vigilance. Recommendation how to hire to make more productive impact of pharmacovigilance is collaboration and communication. Maintaining a solid collaboration across medicine regulatory agency, pharmaceutical companies, healthcare professionals, health policymakers, and patients. Healthcare professionals must anticipate and be prepared to have a dialogue with their patient and enable their participation in decisions regarding treatment. Further development standardization is second, another recommendation to increase, to make more productive impact of pharmacovigilance. A recent study on applying pharmacovigilance to identify cases of adverse reaction from counterfeit medication found that can be valuable in recognizing potential risk groups and the affected active pharma ingredients in products. Further development and standardization of adverse reporting, database analysis, and prospective and real-time collection of potential on patient. Patient centricity collaboration. Patient centricity, an acknowledgement feature of high quality care, drug development, and pharmacovigilance. Sponsor actively seek to involve patient in identified target condition, participate in design and the recruitment of clinical trials, sharing study results, and participation in design and implementation of pharmacovigilance activity. As end user, patients live with the disorder and experience the benefit of harmful intervention firsthand. Patient must learn how to recognize adverse events, report them, and stay informed of any changes or updating his intervention. By establishing collaborative communication channels, the pharmacovigilance network is responsible for providing clear, timely information for patients. Patient involvement, best practice for patient represented regulator, which included early engagement, face-to-face communication, full sales of feedback, structured involvement guidance, establishing common goals, patient education and improvement, development trends and the balance. For example, integrated and it's called collaboration, integrating manufacturing for pharmacovigilance, GMP and GVP standard interaction. For example, an article cognizant unexpected adverse reaction even in well-established medicine recommended fully integrated manufacturing pharmacovigilance quality system in drug life cycle to help detect safety hazards, prevent the development of certain complications. Pharmaceutical quality system and implementation pharmacovigilance system in this system. Pharmacovigilance system cannot be satellite in pharmaceutical industry because too many interaction and too high responsibility pharmacovigilance and be ready all time, be ready for inspections. Challenges pharmacovigilance, underreporting of adverse events. One of the key challenges and the reporting of these events leading to incomplete safety profiles of drug. Another one is big data management. Managing and analyzing large volumes of data poses significant challenge for pharmacovigilance, requiring advanced tools and techniques. Global harmonization of standards, achieving consistency pharmacovigilance practices standards across different countries is a complex challenge too. Future trends in pharmacovigilance, its utilization of artificial intelligence. The use of artificial intelligence and machine learning is expected to revolutionize pharmacovigilance for improved signal detection and risk assessment, enhancing patient engagement, involving patient and adverse event reporting and safety monitoring is a future trend that can enhance pharmacovigilance efforts. Real-world evidence integrated real-world evidence in pharmacovigilance activity can provide valuable insight into medication safety and effectiveness. If you have any questions, dear colleagues, please ask now and I will answer them.